All right, welcome to a brand new video of the Targeted Individual Program. Targeted Individual Program and Targeted Experience. Just had an interesting conversation with Alva. We were talking about these religious cults, and he's talking about a South Korean cult who, during COVID, you know, they're all talking about the blood of Jesus, and in the South Korean city official was trying to figure out how was COVID spreading so fast. It was because of these cult members, right? These cult members, you know, who say that they're protected by the blood of Jesus, until the Korean government had to tell them, listen, you need to stop having your members going out and spreading COVID, and you know, the members of your churches cannot be congregating together because of that, particularly if they aren't wearing any masks or any sort of protection. And like I said, it's very funny how religious people will engage in this sort of rhetoric about the blood of Jesus protecting them, but the reality is the blood of Jesus ain't protecting you from nothing. Right? When you look at some of these pastors who have died because telling their members about being protected by the blood of Jesus, right? Just wasted, you know, their common sense, the sense of you know, of reality, and end up, you know, dying from the pandemic. Okay. Another thing, I'm on Facebook, and you had these, you know, this dude on my Facebook, one of my Facebook friends, posted a video of these St. Louis, no, Tennessee residents, black residents, talking to the state legislator. And you know, this dude was like, of course, he's saying, you know, these people are the devils, and God this and God that, and God's going to do this and God's going to do that. And I'm looking at him like, my brother, look at the reality. Look at the reality. What your God is doing. I don't care how much y'all talk about white man God and whatever. You must be worshiping a different God. No, y'all are worshiping the same damn God. Okay? It's just that you Negropeans don't quite understand that that same God ain't your God. That same God ain't doing nothing for you. Right? But it's doing everything for them because that is their God. They gave your ancestors their God. Okay? And the reason why they give your ancestors their God is to let you understand that they are the chosen people because it is their God. Right? And they're showing you over and over again that no matter when black people reach some level of economic upliftment, that they are going to retaliate. You've seen this with Rosewood and other towns across America in the history of America, where black people were gaining economic independence and white people did what? Burned them down, burned down the towns, spread lies, rumors, all this stuff. And you think that they're going to allow us to have any sort of political power. It will never happen. It will never happen. And you want to know why? You want to know why? Because too many of y'all are in the churches and ignoring your reality. Too many of y'all in the churches not paying attention to what's going on. Too many of y'all in the churches and the white supremacists saying that we're going to start a race war, and y'all ignoring it. Y'all talk about Jesus and this and that, while they are strategically planning to strip you of your political power, black people. But y'all don't want to listen. Y'all don't want to listen. So the brother got upset because I said to him that black people worshiping the same God as their oppressor is the reason why, part of the reason why we're in the condition that we're in. Right? We love to talk around here, talk about chosen. Chosen for what? Chosen to be abused, chosen to be manipulated, chosen to be exploited. That's what we're chosen for. Because let me tell you something. If I had a God, my God is going to damn sure tell me that, listen, I need to get my people together. I need to train them. They need to be educated in science, right? Any music that they create, they need to own it, right? They need to love each other and support each other. That's what my God would tell me. My God would tell me that to do to my enemies what my enemies have done to me and my people. Because I'll be a fool not to do that. I will be a fool walk around talking about love your enemies while your enemies ain't saying love your enemies back. While they're showing you that they don't love their enemies. See, when you worship other people's God, right, you will always be at the bottom of the pantheon. Because if you are going by what their God is telling them, and they're going by what their God is telling them, and what their God is telling you is opposite from what their God is telling them, and their God is telling them to continue to abuse us, to strip us of our political power, right, to not want better for the people, everybody in this nation. That's what their God is telling them. And they're putting in every effort to make sure that it happens. 124 trillion going to white people. Yeah, 2053, black people zero up. So tell me about your God. Hey, how you doing?
All right.
Stand. Who's the winner? I love it. Last man in the arena. When everybody else drop out, last man is always there.
Right in front of the
whatever you 11:32.
Please exit through the rear door. Next stop, Church Avenue and Madison Avenue. Transfers available to B17, B47, and B8. This stop is Church Avenue and Madison Avenue.
Thank you. Have a good night. Oh yeah. Let me tell ya. Let me tell ya. These people are so damn ridiculous, right? Exposing their emotional abuse, and this shit don't work, but they keep trying. They'll keep trying. All right? They will keep trying. This is what they do. And the lies that they will participate in and engage in, and using money, using positions. What are you looking at? What happened, man? What happened? I'm not gay, all right? I'm not gay. Okay. I'm not gay. All right? Again, this is what they do. So he comes on the bus, and as he's walking by me, he opens his mouth. Look. Look, he can open his mouth. As he has no teeth in his mouth. Look at him. Look at him, man. He has no teeth in his mouth. Who's that? New York Predator Department? Where they at? Where they at? Where they at? Look. You don't hear them anymore. Tell you, I keep telling them I'm gonna always win. I'm gonna always win. Because you know why? Because I'm about truth. All right, there's no higher power than truth. They're about lies, manipulation, deception. Because that is who they are, liars. They are the devils. I keep saying, when I hear Christians talk about the devils, but they're the most manipulative, the most hypocritical, the liars, and so forth. And when you are a Christian, you will be that. You will lie, you will manipulate, you will deceive. Because you have to do those things in order to get others to join your religion, to accept your Christ. Again, anytime you need to do that to bring somebody to your God or to your Christ, whoever it is, I hope they question that, right? Why they lie? Why they deceive? Why they manipulate? Why? Because Paul did it. right? And this is one of their favorite passages in the church to use. When Paul says, you know, is it wrong of me to trick you, to deceive you, as long as it brings you to Christ? You understand that? So the use of deception, they'll excuse it. The use of lies and manipulation to get you to believe in their fictitious Savior and their fictitious God. So anyway, as I was saying to the brother on Facebook, I wrote again, I said, listen, man, you know, you keep talking about God this and God that, and he said, yeah, we know that they're the devils. We know that. They're making our lives hell. Therefore, yeah, you're correct on that assessment, right? But don't come up here talking about God is going to punish them and do this and do that and that. You know, because like I said, if I believe in a God, my God wouldn't let that happen. If I believe in a God, my God would not let them strip away our political power, our economic, our ability to uplift ourselves economically, right? Their God wouldn't send them to steal the homes of black people. I mean, our God wouldn't, not their God, our God wouldn't allow them to steal the homes of black people. Our God wouldn't let them rent apartment buildings and house rental units with lead paint, right, to poison the minds of our children and us, right? So when you talk about the power of God and without God, when you say with God all things are possible, stop lying to yourself. I understand why you say that, because you're in a position where you think because, you know, you may have a little bit better than the rest of us, that somehow you tell yourself that, right? I understand that, because it's the mindset. It's the mindset of the religious believers it's the mindset of the religious believers to say nonsense like that. See you looking back. I see you looking back. You know, I think sometimes they'll run these sort of games to see, you know, hey, she got a nice little behind there. Just look at the look. I'm a man. I'm a heterosexual man. Even though I'm not in the data market, I can look, right? Anyhow, this is one of the things. This is one of the tactics that they use to try to prevent me from looking at women. I mean, come on. You know, she's shaped like a black woman. You know what I'm saying? What the hell you want? Anyhow. And again, a black woman that have shape, not a broad back, linebacker type chick, okay? And you know, there might be nothing wrong with them, but you know, most men are not going to turn back and look around, okay? And that's the truth. Not to say that they're not beautiful, not to say that, you know, that they're not in relationships or anything like that. I'm just saying, you know, if you put different body types, right? You know, you put a skinny female, a female that's slim thick, a female that's medium thick, a female that's thick, right? What they call big bone, right? A female that is obese with a big behind, a female that is obese with you know, shaped like a roly-poly. I'll tell you the two that most men would choose. It would be the slim thick and the medium thick chick. That's the majority of men would choose that. They prefer that, okay? And again, that's not me saying that. That's just the facts. All right, so anyhow, let me get back to what I was saying because I got distracted. When you look at what is happening and what is being done, it is systematic. And you know, black Christians, European Christians, because they vote Democratic, so they tend to think that voting for the Democratic Party is going to somehow improve their lives, and it usually isn't. They usually the biggest legislative measure that passed was the Affordable Care Act. Right? Now, look at this. Look at all the pushback the Democrats got from the Affordable Care Act. Okay. Now, when the Democrats had the Senate, the House, the executive branch, the judicial branch, the legislative branch, they could have passed universal health care for all, and they choose not to. See, when Republicans get into those positions and in this power, they will strip away all those things. They don't go to the Democrats. They don't care what the Democrats think. It's about power for them, right? But I think what the Democrats will do also, along with the Republican, is that they will do things for the millionaire, billionaire class while giving very little to the working class people, right? Middle class people, right? The poor. Is that your furniture department? I gotta walk over here because it might be them. Let's see. It might be them. Oh, they're gonna turn. Oh yeah, okay, they're gonna turn. They're going to turn. Look at them. They're going to turn. They're going to turn. Right? They're going to turn. So, when you look at, again, both political parties, they do nothing for the working class people, which is the majority of Americans. Right? They do nothing for the poor, anything, nothing substantial anyway. You look on the Democratic presidency, you have rising costs, right? Housing scarcity, right? On the Republican, the same thing, right? Understand that. That's why I said, you know, black people need to become a better and more informed voting population. Malcolm X has been saying it. Dr. Claude Anderson, local election is where you need to concentrate on primarily. You see, when we don't vote in local election, what happened in Tennessee, it will happen in other places too. It's happening in Texas. It will happen in New York. I keep saying, you know, the gentrification of communities where black people live, it is to dilute black political power. Right? It is to push black people out of communities that they've lived in because white people want to reclaim their community, their neighborhood. And I say their community, their neighborhood because we don't own the majority of the businesses, houses in our community. Okay? You may have some community in which, you know, yeah, most of the homeowners are black, but, you know, they have a mortgage. So they really don't own it. Right? They really don't own it. And if you're able to pay off your mortgage, you know, the high cost of electricity, state tax, you know, property tax, you know, is astronomically high. Okay? So we tend not to look at these things. We tend not to look at the predatory behavior of so-called liberals, particularly white liberals, when it comes to black people in cities, or what they call urban area across America. And politicians will tell you, right, that in the next decade, they're not pandering to black people anymore. You know what Biden says? Biden says, if you're not voting for me, if you don't vote for me, you're in black. See, they know they don't need the black vote, but they keep pushing this agenda of black people being a swing vote. Okay? Let me ask you a question. When you look at the percentage of white people who don't vote, right? If there's a shift in their consciousness to where the vast majority of them vote, black people, you'll have no political power.
Oh, where I usually put it.
And you will lose political power sooner, in less than a decade, as opposed to it being a decade. And the reason why most white people don't vote is because they know the political system is a sham. Because they're educated in voting. They are. They are a smarter group of voters. Right? And the reason why they're a smarter group of voters is because they're always going to vote in their best interest. They're always going to vote in their best interest. See, we vote in their best interest. We don't vote in our best interest. We vote in their best interest. And like I said, black people altogether need to leave both these political plantations and vote Green Party. We got nothing to lose. Okay? But if you can put Green Party candidates and elect them, all right, you'll see you will have a government that at least on its way to working properly for the people. And particularly when they make promises not to take money from big corporations. We need to understand that voting in our best interest is a vote for the future of our children. Voting in other people's best interests is a vote for the future of their children and not yours. Okay? So as with anything, there's going to be a struggle. And if you don't want to vote Green Party, whichever candidate you're voting for, you come to them collectively with a plan, an agenda. Right? If you're giving them 10 things, they should at least be able to give you half of what it is. It'll be great if they can give you more. And those things must be accomplished within the next, within their first term. Or however, if you're voting for them, whatever, from the time you come to them with that agenda, right, or that plan of what it is that we as a people want. And we have to vote on these things collectively. If we are not doing this, I'm telling you, we are headed even further down the bottom. You know, the reason why we don't quite recognize it as being an urgency is because they have engaged in cognitive warfare against us. So we have no idea, no clue. All right? I'm going to do a video on cognitive warfare just to do a refresher on what it does and how they do it and the effect it has on our minds. You want to fight? Cracking your knuckles. Come on, anytime. Anytime. See you cracking your knuckles like you want to fight, bro. Anytime. All right, anytime. Get some advice. Take some self-defense courses. Take some self-defense classes. Seriously. From one brother to the next brother, I'm telling you, take some self-defense classes. Alright? How old are you? You look young, man. How old are you? Alright, listen. I'm 54. If I knew what I knew now at 28, I'll be taking self-defense classes. So I'm telling you, take some self-defense classes. You got family members, tell them take some self-defense classes. Look at what's happening, right? I know everybody, you know, black people seem chill, right? Because we don't quite understand what is going on. We see it, but it's not registered in our mind with urgency. You understand what I'm saying? Take some self-defense classes. Don't think because you live in a liberal state like New York that these white liberals are not just as racist as these sudden, you know, so-called Republican racists, all right? Okay? UDY, you know, I'm serious, my brother. I put my children, they were in self-defense classes. I got to get my daughter back into it, but, you know, to take some self-defense classes, I'm telling you, when you do, and you're going to see, and I'm telling you, in the next 5 years, things are not getting better. It's getting worse. All right? You ever heard of digital ID? You ever heard of digital ID? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go look it up. Digital ID. It is an agenda in which you're going to have an ID and that's going to connect you to everything, right? In your healthcare, whatever thing you need, you have this thing called digital ID. They will be able to track you, right, and place you in any situation that they want to place you in. Into, like, let's say you're a political activist, and they want to set you up for a crime because they don't want you to be a political activist. They can use your digital footprint and manipulate it. So the digital ID is something that most people don't quite understand that it's coming down the pipeline, and you're gonna have no choice. You understand? You're not. It ain't gonna be like, oh well, I don't want it. No, you're gonna have to. You're gonna make everybody. Sorry.
Thank you, John.
Right? They're gonna make everybody do it. Just like how the mandate of the pandemic, I call it the pandemic because it is a pandemic, right? Listen, you couldn't even go to college if you didn't take that vaccine, right? You couldn't go to work if you didn't take it, right? And guess what? You didn't have to take it. Listen, most people don't understand that was the biggest theft, right? And then that vaccine that they put into our body, okay, it is causing a whole bunch of problems, particularly young people. I'm serious. You know, there are these doctors on YouTube. I got the name of the channel, but they're European doctors, right, from Switzerland, and they tell you how to detox your body from that vaccine, right? And here's the thing, right? All you needed was vitamin D and vitamin C, right? When you look at China and the early onset of the pandemic, that's what they were doing before they came up with their vaccine. And their vaccine is different from what our vaccine is. Right? That vaccine that they developed, right? Let's call it MMR vaccine. That came from the military, right? Yeah, you go look it up. It's come from the military, right? You ever heard of nanotechnology? Right? Nanotechnology. If you go to YouTube, go look for this CIA scientist named James Diagano, and he's talking about nanotechnology being used, right? Creating robots, right? Or computer chips that is smaller than the cell in your body, right? We're talking about, well, you got to know what nanoscale is, right? So nanoscale, you know, for example, the width of your hair is about, I would say, maybe 10 nanometers, actually, sorry, 70 nanometers, right? So today's modern computer chips, right? They're scaled to 2 nanometers, right? Now, if you got a computer, right? Okay, that chip that you have inside that computer, depending on how old it is, we're talking about billions of transistors on there, right? And the only how they can create these things is through robotics. You can't do it with the human eye, because the human eye cannot see that small. So we're talking about computer chips with 60, 70 billion transistors, right? And something that's like, what is it, inch and a half by inch and a half? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and we're talking about tens of billions, right? Right? So listen, they have an aerosol version in which you have these tiny microscopic robots that they can spray and you breathe it in. They can put it in your food, right? You can put it in your water. You can drink it, breathe it, right? And they can inject it into you. Now, many people think that this is sci-fi, but if you go and you read scientific journals that talk about the development of BCI, brain-computer interface, right? You will see that it's very real, right? It's very, very real. most people don't even understand that in the 1970s they had developed a microchip to control your behavior. That's from 1970s. I know you're 28 years old, so you know. But I'm, you know, I always like to. I talk to the bus operators all the time. They know. I try to educate people on certain things, right? Because particularly for us as black people, when it comes to understanding science and technology, there isn't enough of us in those fields to really share the information out there. You understand? So, and it's made that way. They do it that way on purpose. You know what I'm saying? They do it just like it's in the field of psychiatry, right? Only 4%. Only 4% of black people are psychiatrists in America, right? So it means the vast majority are white people, right? Then on top of that, 70% of psychiatrists take money from big corporations. You understand? So 70% of our psychiatrists take money from pharmaceutical companies. So meaning that when you go to therapy, their incentive is to prescribe you medication, right? Because the more medication they prescribe you, the more money they get back. You understand? So you got to understand the sciences that they create, the reason why they create it, and then also you got to know that they are creating the symptoms so they can give you that medicine. You understand? They have an innate ability to create junk science, right? You ever heard the term excitedurium? Okay, excitedurium is a new psychological term created by psychiatrists that work with law enforcement, right? To say the reason why black men get killed by police is because when they come into interaction with police, they get so excited that it scares the police officer, so they shoot you. You get so excited that you start thinking if they're violating your rights, and you question them about violating your rights. When they grab you and you pull away because you know you did nothing wrong, and they shoot you, that's because you died of excitedurium, not the fact that they killed you. You understand? I tell you, listen, just because things don't happen to you, never think that it can't. You understand? A lot of people go through life not experiencing certain things, particularly black people, and say there's no such thing as racism, right? Imagine that. Sure. Right? That's what they'll say. Here's the thing. When they move into these white suburbs, they're paying anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 more for that same house than their white neighbor across the street. You understand? But because they are able to live amongst a group of people that they uphold with all the respect, all the love, than you and I, right? Because you see, that's what they do. When they get money, what do? They move out of the community. They don't help to build the community. They move out of the community. They have what is called black flight. You ever heard about white flight? Right? Well, black flight is the same thing. They would rather go live amongst people who despise them and hate them truly than to live in their own community and build up their community. You understand? Right? So, listen, man. Let me tell you, there's a reason why there's no black leaders. You got kids? All right, listen. Put your kids in self-defense classes, right? And teach them the truth. All right? Keep them out of the churches, man. All right, man, I got you, dude. Have a good night. Woo, well, she hanging out on the bench. Tell you. Look. Shalice, stalkers and stalkers. It is really amazing what it is that they do and how they try to get away with it. Illegally microchipping people, right? Manipulating us in ways that we don't understand, and because, again, they are in positions of authority, they can lie, they can manipulate, they can say whatever it is they want to say, and we believe them. Though they have a long, long history of lying, deceiving, and manipulating. A long, long history of that. Okay? So, always remember that. Like I said, there ain't no fear here. They cannot put fear in my mind or my heart, because my purpose is greater than theirs. They can come with their God talk all they want, particularly the Europeans, because God has continued to show their asses that, they're not his chosen people. Even though they like to claim the Bible is black history. The Bible contains history in terms of the group of people who call themselves Israelites and Hebrews. Right? The Bible contains some history. But as far as your Moses, your Abraham, your Jesus, or what have you, that is all made up. That is all fiction. It isn't fact. It isn't non-fiction. It is fiction. All right? So when you see the truth, they're going to attack you for it. All right? When you expose their lies, they're going to attack you for it. And so these people walk around here who have been lied to, they have been lied to also about their origins. What is that? Air raid sirens? What is that? Is that the air raid? I think that's the air raid sirens. How do you like that? But anyhow, right? They have been lied to. Right? I keep saying this. Europeans have lied to the world, and the world continue to believe them. The world will pay for it. All right? And the war in Northeast Africa is just the start. It is just the start. Next, they're going to move to Africa. Instead of having mutual respect, understanding, and a good relationship with African nations, European America just want to exploit. Peace through strength, they say. That's Roman ideology. It's to create wars, conquer nations, and rule over those nations. That's not peace. You have to understand the history of these things. All right? You have to know that. All right? The Nazis had the same ideology. That's why you see it here right now. The white supremacists, they are the believers of Nazism. All right? And people are going to see. They're going to see. The truth speakers will always be right. The truth speakers will always tell you what's going on. The truth speakers will always show you the truth. It is up to you to listen. It is up to you to do your research, to understand, so that there is a shift in your consciousness to where you look at the reality for what it is and not the delusion, not the carrots, as Alda said, dangling in front of your face, right? They got to make you really hungry and then put that carrot in front of you, right? While they're walking you off a cliff. But all you see is that carrot dangling in front of your face. All right, wake up to the reality and wake up to the truth. All right, talk to you guys in the next video. Car horn. So they flipped my, why did they flip my phone? What were they trying to show? Right? They flipped my phone. Again, I didn't do that. All right? I did not do it. I didn't touch any buttons on my phone. But they flipped my phone. Or did I not flip? Wait a minute. Did I not flip it back while I was while I was walking? All right. I thought I flipped it back. I think I flipped it to show you guys the female that was sitting on the bench there. And but anyhow, so when I looked, I realized that you hear the car horn. Right? You hear that, right? Oh yeah. Anyhow, people gotta wake up, particularly my people. You gotta wake up and understand the truth. All right? I mean, when you see what is happening and you see that there is no urgency, particularly in the minds of black people, to really start to unite. And I keep saying, black people, you need to go and donate to the new Black Panther Party, donate to the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, donate to the Black Panther Party, donate to any black organization or self-defense organization. You need to donate. You need to support those people, because I tell you what, if you go do the research. The U.S. government, they give billions of dollars to these so-called private armies. And these private armies are run by white supremacists. And they get billions of taxpayers' dollars. Okay? And they are well-trained and well-funded. So if we don't have people who are well-trained and well-funded also, when they start to engage in what is called martial law, and they're going to create martial law, then what are you going to do? That's why I tell the bus driver, put your children in self-defense classes. Okay? You yourself, you're a young man, say, yo, you take self-defense classes. Believe me, once they understand that we, as a group of people collectively, are taking self-defense classes to defend ourselves because we know what it is that they're trying to do, okay, they're going to think twice. It's going to slow them down. And then we have to get to legislature. We have to get to voting locally. We have to get in reversing these draconian gun laws, right? Because the one thing they don't want is an armed citizen that knows his or her rights, that is well trained, okay? Responsible gun owners, they don't want that. And particularly if you're black, you know they don't want you owning the gun. All right? Talk to you guys in the next video.